This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Welcome. This is Sound Up, and we are at it once again. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you along with us, and many thanks to our new listeners. Many thanks to those who have been following us so far. We appreciate your support. Great to have Alan Light, of course, as part of the show. Yay, Alan.
Wow, that's a nice way to walk on. Yay, Mark Goodman. Everybody, welcome to another week of Sound Up. It is, of course, Grammy week this week, so we got a lot to do. In addition to catching up on a bunch of news stuff and things that have been going on over the weekend, we're going to move into shifting into pre-Grammy mode. We got a couple of special guests joining us to start to set the mood.
It's true. We're going to get a kind of behind-the-scenes look at the show itself with David Wild, who has been writer-producer for the Grammys, I think, since they began in 1940 or something.
It's not true, because David was, as we always say, David was my first boss at Rolling Stone.
It's true.
At the start of my career. So he had a lengthy and distinguished career as a journalist prior to flipping over to the dark side and moving into television, where he's been working with the Grammys for years and years. So we got a bunch of announcements of special performances that are going to be happening at the Grammys, though. Billy Joel premiering his new song, U2 beaming in from the Sphere, Joni Mitchell doing her first ever performance on the Grammys at age 80, plus Dua Lipa and Olivia Rodrigo and a bunch of big pop stars. So David is going to talk about putting the show together and how some of these things are happening.
As always with the Grammys, does LA go nuts anymore? Or is it still party time? Or is everybody a bit more subdued? We'll talk with Shirley Halperin, editor-in-chief of Los Angeles Magazine, about that on the show today.
Because, of course, the Grammys is also the Clive Davis party and the label celebrations and the club takeovers, or at least used to be. Do labels still have that kind of money? Is the big party now the Spotify party? I don't know. I don't know how any of this works now. We're in a different world. So Shirley will get us going on the scene in and around LA this week in the run-up to the Grammys, which, of course, weren't even in LA last year. They were in Vegas.
Yeah.
So,
which will be the scene of the Super Bowl this year.
It's all happening. It's all coming together. We came so close to a Taylor Swift versus Eminem Super Bowl, by the way. I mean, had to have,
those damn Niners, they had to frickin' win.
No fight with the 49ers, but it would have been fun to see the two biggest pop stars of the 21st century square off in a Super Bowl showdown in a couple of weeks. But we'll fill in the latest news from the sidelines with Taylor and company.
And I'll say that although we're going to be talking about Grammys on this show today, we are not going to do our picks until our next show, which drops on Friday. However, there may be some things to talk about, things that are happening at the Grammys, as we say, and we'll get into that on this show.
And a reminder, when we tape later in the week, we focus on you guys. And especially this week, want to hear your thoughts going into the Grammys. Do you still care about them? Did you ever care about them? Are you excited about any of these performances? If you don't usually care about them, but you're excited to see Joni Mitchell or to see Dua Lipa or whatever it is that enough to get you in? So you can contact us at connect@sounduppod.com. Email us with words, email us with a voice memo recording. Tell us your thoughts into your phone. We'll play it back on the show later in the week. We really want to look at what you guys think as we head into music's biggest night coming up this Sunday.
Indeed. So it's going to be a big one. Let's get it going here. Before we jump into the actual news, we got some big things to talk about. But can I just, Alan, Saturday Night Live. Did you see it this week?
So I just want to shout out, before we talk about some TV stuff from the weekend, I did see it, but I saw it late because I was traveling to give a talk about Hallelujah and my book and documentary this weekend in DC. And I just want to shout out some of our Volumaniac regular listeners. Rita and Elaine made it out to Chevy Chase, Maryland to hear me talk.
In the flesh.
And greatly appreciate you guys turning up when I came into your area code. So yes, I watched that. I didn't watch it live. I watched it Sunday night on tape, not Saturday Night Live. But it was the big return for Justin Timberlake. And Though I thought the performances were fine, I had this overwhelming sense of, are people still gonna care about this? To be a pop star, not to be a rock, not to be a legacy act, not to be a touring rock, but to compete as a pop star. We noted this last week. It is 6 years since the last Justin Timberlake album, and that was the Man of the Woods album that nobody liked.
Right.
So it's 10 years since this guy has had like radio hits that people were excited about. And it just looked kind of old and a little desperate up there to me.
The joke that they made in the promos was like Justin trying to horn his way in to be the show host. And the subtext was he really wanted to be the show host. That was the way that I felt about it. And the performances, I just felt there was, not with his musical performances, but with the other stuff, there was an element of desperation.
That's what I felt.
I was so excited to see Fallon come on. That Bee Gees talk show thing that bit was great, but it doesn't hold up over time somehow.
Used to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was in general a pretty weak episode of the show, but that aside, Justin always comes on and lights that up with his, with whether it was Dick in the Box, whether it was the come on down to Flavortown or whatever it was, like all of those things. This was always the great platform to be the all-around entertainer. Everybody loves him. First of all, I don't know that everybody still loves him. We're coming out of the Britney book and the things that she said about him. Of course, to make it even weirder, we got a statement from Britney saying she kind of regrets some of the things that she said in the book, including things that she said about Justin, and that she likes the new song. So I don't know who's zooming who here, but it didn't feel. It was an event when Justin used to do SNL. Like that was, you got the full sense of here's what it is that's kind of special about this guy. And this did not have that flair to it.
It probably, I imagine, would have been better had the response to the song, his new song, been better. It didn't generate that old Justin excitement,
It's tough to stay. I mean, we've said this many times. It's tough to be a pop. It's tough to get there.
Yeah.
It's really tough to stay there. He stayed there for a long time. But once you're on the far side of 50 here, once you're, knocking on that and you're up against Kid Leroy or, whatever it is, that's what the kids driving pop radio and pop streaming and all that, like when the things that they want to hear, it's tough to keep up on that. He's still in his 40s, but it's, once you're moving up, it ain't a boy band anymore.
And just to be fair to Justin, okay, the song is only out 5 minutes. There hasn't been a lot he hasn't come on and done any other performances. He's not touring yet. Maybe the heat will be generated. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt. Although I just feel like people generally have cooled on Justin Timberlake.
We know there was blowback. Looking back at the Janet Super Bowl, there's blowback. I'm
trying to get over that though.
I know, but
I agree.
But there's blowback from the Britney stuff, and again, it's been we think about him as in a different place than a guy who makes hits. That's fine. Your career evolves. You're an actor. You do other things. Fine, but you just got that feeling of this is not a layup. This is not like, oh, it's a Justin record. It's going to be, it's going to be a big deal. I don't know if that's the big launch. I don't know if that's going to be a big deal.
It's true. One of the things we talk about a lot here is docs, biopics, etc. But there is a new documentary on the way. I have to be straight and say I have not seen this one yet.
Well, not on it actually went up today. So you had a few hours. I did this morning get up in time to watch before we were recording.
Because that's how Alan Light rolls.
We are here to lead the conversation. We are not here to follow the conversation. So I wanted to get up and watch this We Are the World documentary called The Greatest Night in Pop that went up on Netflix today, Monday. And I got to say, is it great filmmaking? I don't think it's great filmmaking. Do you really kind of know most of the story? Sure. But there's fun stuff to see.
There is. Okay.
To see the footage, to see the rehearsal footage, to see a lot of the them getting together and working out the arrangements, just to watch that stuff, because we do forget. I mean, now we're in a place where We Are the World is a thing everybody makes fun of. I mean, really, it's just it was a big deal and it was a crappy song. That's sort of all anybody has said or thought about We Are the World in years.
Yeah.
But when you go back and look at the achievement of getting all those people in a room without cell phones, without email, when Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson cut the demo and they run off 50 cassettes and put them in FedExes 3 days before the session to get them to all the artists. You're like, oh, right. This was another world to organize and wrangle a thing like this.
I'm curious how excited people will be about this.
Yeah.
I know, look, a lot of people, there's a giant chunk of our audience, myself included, who remember like it was yesterday, who really came of age, grew up with it. And like you say, yeah, we know the story, but if there's those tidbits,
Couple things to note. One, very brief Mark Goodman cameo in the film. I don't know if anybody told me this.
All right.
Yes. You talking to Sheila E. at the Purple Rain premiere comes in for a second.
Wow.
Just so you know. But there's a couple things I got to say that I didn't know. Are these major things? No. But didn't know that Stevie Wonder almost derailed the entire session by saying after they started that he wanted to add a line that everybody would sing in Swahili, which caused Waylon Jennings to storm out of the session.
All right.
Which you see on film.
That's the kind of stuff we're looking for right there.
And people trying to convince Stevie, they don't speak Swahili in Ethiopia. Geldof was there. They bring him in and he does, which is great. He's like, listen, we're not trying to talk to the people who are starving. We're trying to talk to the people who can give money to stop starving.
Right.
So that's pretty interesting scene. Did not know that Al Jarreau was drunk off his ass and they had real trouble getting through his line because he was such a mess.
Jeez, there's something not to expect. Wow.
Some of the stuff that you didn't see in the official, making of VHS tape that came out. And what am I going to say? Seeing the footage, the last things they taped, I don't know, I guess this was known, but I forget. Dylan and Springsteen were the last things that were recorded. Mm-hmm. And it's 6 a.m. It's, the sun is coming up. And that's really interesting footage to watch. I mean, of course, I want to see Dylan. And we've all seen this sort of isolated Dylan kind of being confused and all of that. But when you really get to he's coming in at the end and it's he doesn't know what they want from him.
Yeah.
Am I just singing with the chorus? Do you want me to sing like Dylan? Do you want me to sing like everybody? You just get a sense of, God, we've been up all night. What are we still doing here? Anyway, really would like to know what listeners think, because as we said, this was a big moment for, within that Band-Aid, Live Aid, We Are the World thing. And I got to say, it was a fun hour and a half. It's not, again, it's not, they didn't win in the Oscars, but it's fun to see, I think.
It's going to be on our next show that drops on Friday, that records on Thursday, and maybe with you in our audience, if you like. We want to hear if you are up for it. Are you anxious about seeing this doc? And we'll move on from there. Let's jump to some news. There's some big stuff happening in news while we're thinking about documentaries.
Just a couple of things that we want to hit up here. Yeah.
A new Ramones documentary is trying to be in the works.
Actually, not a documentary, one in this long series of biopics we've been talking about, because Pete Davidson is supposed to be playing Joey Ramone.
But
we know the state of affairs within the Ramones camp, and a lawsuit filed last week. Linda Ramone, Johnny's widow, has claimed that Joey's brother, Mickey Lee, quote, covertly developed an unapproved and unauthorized Ramones-based biopic based on his own, quote, one-sided recitation of the history of the Ramones. So that doesn't specifically mention Netflix, but it says that the biopic is based on Lee's memoir called I Slept with Joey Ramone. The film shares that title, is based on the book, and is produced in partnership with Joey Ramone's estate.
And the issue is that it's a one-sided view of the band. The attorney said to permit the defendants alone to tell the authoritative story of the Ramones would be an injustice to the band and its legacy.
And that the IP here is split between the Joey Ramone side and the Johnny Ramone side, which is further complicated by the fact that Johnny Ramone's widow had previously dated Joey Ramone. Just to get this right. So there was another piece in the New York Post playing a little more to the gossipy angle here, but I just have to read. The widow of Johnny Ramone claims that Joey Ramone's brother is cutting her out of the band's merchandising deals and threatened to leak compromising private footage the iconic frontman had of her, according to a lawsuit. So Linda Ramone, who dated Joey before marrying Johnny, says that Mitchell Hyman, professionally known as Mickey Lee, Joey's brother, is essentially blackmailing her with, some sort of private footage to, be able to proceed with this project. It's once again a mess. But one other interesting thing to note, buried way down at the bottom of this New York Post piece, is a statement from Marky Ramone, who agrees that Mickey is damaging the Ramones' name. Between her and Mickey, this is a quote from Marky, between her and Mickey, I see Linda as the only one trying to grow the Ramones' legacy and trying to bring the band new opportunities and new fans. On the other hand, my experience with Mickey is that he spends too much time focused on harassing Linda and trying to benefit and bring attention to himself. So from the Marky Ramone piece of this, who is not a controlling interest in the band's decisions, he's on Johnny's widow's side.
Right. And do we have any idea, is the case, does it have a court date yet, or are they negotiating? Hopefully it won't go to court. We don't know yet.
I see she wants more than $1 million in damages. She wants representatives removed from their, they look forward to being able to present the truth. I should say that Mickey's attorney, Donna Tobin, insists there is no sex tape. There has never been any threat by Mr. Hyman to leak anything.
He said, she said. All righty.
Well, that's when you go to court.
Same as it ever was. Also in the news, this is something that I read about on Sunday morning, because this is based on a show that happened, I think it was Saturday night. Richard Marx and Rick Springfield have been touring together, an acoustic show. They share the stage. They sing each other's songs together. They're great friends and have been for many, many years. Richard, at one point during this performance, it was the Capitol Theater performance, was doing Angelia. And there's some woman in the audience. I don't think it was Lauren Boebert. There was some woman in the audience who was just speaking really loudly during, and you know how Richard Marx and Angelia especially, it's a soft, beautiful song. And he finished the song, and then Richard went at her. And if you follow Richard online, he does not take shit from anyone online. He is very upfront about his views on everything. And he actually, he stopped. He ultimately told the woman to relax. I'll say it that way. I give him credit, and the audience gave him credit as well.
Well, you said the audience they were trying to get her to shut up too.
They were trying to shut her up as well. I mean, it was one stupid woman, maybe had a couple too many, cocktails. And he finished the song professionally and then basically said, is there anything that you could be saying that is more important than what we are doing here? Get some fucking manners. Thank you, Richard. And by the way, the other side of the Two Dicks tour, as they occasionally call it, Rick Springfield responded this morning supporting Richard Marx and saying how proud he was of him doing that. I wrote to him and asked, wow, what was that like? And gave him a right on. And he sent me this funny meme, which was basically, Alan, I had never seen the meme before.
I don't know how to describe it. It's a shot of the Star Trek, the deck of the Enterprise, with everybody keeled over,
like holding their ears,
Spock, holding their ears with Yoko Ono photoshopped in on the microphone as the source of the damage.
Rick's caption: "We're not going to take it." So they're in support. And by the way, those were the last nights of the tour. Rick actually has the flu right now, and he had to postpone the rest of the tour. I think he missed like 3 or 4 dates. So those will be rescheduled. Maybe that woman will get another shot to behave herself.
Last thing we just want to bring up is it has been a big few days in Taylor Swift world. Of course, we have to bring up Taylor one way or another. She joined Travis Kelce on the field after the Chiefs' upset victory over the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. To the delight of us Beastie Boy fans everywhere, Kelsey shouted, "You got to fight for your right to party," as Taylor stood smiling and grinning and laughing to his side. So now the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl. Between now and then, Taylor starts her tour. Taylor will be in Japan playing a show the night before the Super Bowl. With the time differences, she can make it back. She can make the game. She can make Vegas.
Yeah.
Said this is going to be like this is going to be Phil Collins at Live Aid, man. We're going to have the camera on the flight, tracking progress to see if this is going to happen. But in more slightly serious news, the other thing that happened sort of over the weekend or into it was this big controversy over these AI generated explicit images of Taylor that were circulating on Twitter end of last week or whenever that was, which led to lots of reaction, lots of commentary about what do we do about this? What's preventable? Is there any legal action to take if you can trace down who the source of this stuff was? Like in the ongoing trying to figure out the legal parameters of AI, this is a very visible and very upsetting example of the kind of things that can happen out there.
And in what I considered a sort of surprising move for the new Twitter, they actually were going after and censoring and pulling people off who had seemed to be posting these images, these AI-generated images.
So Taylor more powerful than Elon Musk, if you're keeping score at home. So, but look, there's a lot of it's obviously there have been other artists who have come out with other statements about other things that have been done around their voices and images. We had the AI generated fake robocalls around the New Hampshire primary last week. There are things that are sort of raising the visibility around these issues. And, you start messing with Taylor and it becomes a whole other conversation.
The Swifties got involved. They are out there protecting their woman. They are serious about it. You do not mess with the Swifties. We'll see going forward. I don't know. How does something like this end? I'm sort of putting it out there. My sense is once it's online, what can you do?
I mean, they can take it down. The question is where there was stuff screenshot that then recirculates. Right. And, you can't fully put the genie back in the bottle. But will this be sort of a landmark within the conversation of what do we do about the uncontrolled spread of this kind of stuff? Yeah. This could be a significant moment.
Before we take a break, I'll ask you, so is it Niners or is it KC?
With no skin in the game on these teams, it's too much fun to keep watching Taylor win. And, it's two dynasty teams. That's why it's less fun. I mean, it would have been to see Detroit make it would have been great. The Ravens should have been the best team out there and they didn't. So, we'll go with Mahomes and Travis and Taylor.
Hell yeah.
And let them take it home.
Yes. Taylor's team all the way. All right, we're going to take a fast break. On the other side, as promised, the Grammys are coming up this Sunday night. Lots of special performances, really amazing stuff going on at the show. And we are going to take a look not only at the Grammy show itself with David Wild, writer-producer for the Grammys for many years, but also Shirley Halperin, who is the editor-in-chief of Los Angeles Magazine, who will give us a glimpse of what happens in L.A. during Grammy Week, because it's more than just night. We'll get into that with Shirley and David next.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
All right, welcome back. It's Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light. And as promised, we've got a bit of a Grammy preview. Grammys happening this Sunday night. Shirley Halperin, editor-in-chief of Los Angeles Magazine, is with us. So is David Wild, writer-producer of the Grammys for many years. Welcome, both of you. Great to have you with us, and thanks for carving out a bit of time in what I know is an incredibly busy week for both of you. I want to start, David, with you, and just if we can, get a sense from you of it's early in the week. So what is it that you know so far about what is going to be happening? Is the whole show sketched out, or are you waiting for some surprises to be happening that you're going to tell us about right now?
It's early in Grammy week, but it is late in my life. So I'll try to explain that you never know when the show is done until it is off the air. This is my 23rd year. So I've been through the Whitney Houston dying the day before. We also had the Kobe literally during the dress that day. So you never know. And just typically we are going down, the venue is already obviously being set up, but rehearsals and us being down there happens in the next day or two. But until the show is on the air, things move. I thought we were going to talk a half an hour earlier. In that half an hour, potentially, the show moved around significantly. It's not that it hasn't been planned. It's that things change and you adjust. There's a technical thing of putting the show on the stage, and you have to. So yes, it's constantly a beautiful piece of art in progress.
Even in the last couple of days, there were some big announcements. The Joni Mitchell performance, U2 beaming in from the Sphere. Are those things? Did that those happen and then 5 minutes later you announce, or are those things that have been in the works that you're teasing out this week because it's now is when people are paying attention?
Those things, there are people who've been working years and months on different ways on those things. And the hardest thing for me is being married 30 years this year, I always tell my wife everything, but she was like, you didn't tell me about Joni Mitchell. There are certain secrets that are closely held, and because you're not sure. And also there's the thing when you get someone to agree and confirm, there's also the thing of when they allow you to put it out to the press. So there's so much planning by our talent team, by Patrick Metinar, who, and Raj and Ben and Jesse, the whole team is constantly trying to, you ask, and then it works out.
Shirley Halperin, so the Grammys are back in LA. And we know that when it comes to Grammys, it's not just that one night. It's kind of Grammy week in LA. So this year, how are things progressing? I know things have been somewhat odd sort of since COVID and so on. So what's the vibe right now in Los Angeles leading up to the Grammys?
I would say that they are back in their full glory. Typically, there's about 80 events that happen between Tuesday and Sunday. Right now, my count is up to 56, and I'm assuming that there's going to be some more events that haven't been announced yet, private parties, etc. But yeah, it is packed. The city is ready for it. Every part of town, won't be impacted necessarily, but, will be used. And yeah, it's really exciting. It's an exciting time. This is my first year not being like a music journalist, so I'm kind of approaching it from a different angle, which is fun.
What's your sense? I mean, obviously it was, there were the big blowout label parties. There were the big showcase. I mean, it was a big spend for the music business. Has that shifted? I mean, is the Spotify party the one you got to be at? Are there different players who are sort of entering all of the hoopla around awards week?
I wish I could say that there were, but it seems to be kind of like these perennial events, which are amazing events, like the Clive Davis pre-Grammy dinner, of course, all of the label parties, the Spotify Best New Artist event, that's become, a regular sort of must attend in Grammy season. I would say that probably the new entry is this group called the Black Music Action Coalition. They actually have some really interesting programming this week, like in addition to panel talks at agencies like UTA, they're also doing a dinner honoring Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And they just have like a real full slate of events, which I'm super impressed by. But otherwise, yeah, it's Music Cares on Friday night, Clive on Saturday, then the major label after parties on Sunday. Thursday is Spotify, Best New Artist, and Warner. And, I think the companies have gotten really smart about staggering them so that they know you can hit each one like consecutively. Like this one in West Hollywood, and you're just going west and west and west, and then you're in Beverly Hills, and then you go home, and then you start again.
I want to flip that to David, because I was going to ask about how you look at sort of the evolution of the Grammys. I mean, within recent years, as consumption has changed, as genres have sort of broken down, as something like African music and the fact that Burna Boy is going to appear, how do you guys look inside at continuing to try to have the Grammys keep up with where the music world is?
I think it is remarkable, and it's a good question, because I think the global nature of the show you will feel that on a number of levels in this show. And I think to have Burna Boy and to have Joni Mitchell, to have, SZA be the most nominated artist of the year, and to have Billy Joel doing, a new song that we never thought we'd get, all of that, I think it will feel multi-generational, global. You will get a sense of the breadth of the nominations, the categories, which, all of that, I think we will try to make you feel and have a sense of. It's always the challenge is, how do you honor the whole world of music? There are more categories than we can put on, but I think this year you will feel the whole show infused with so much of that global sense of what music means.
Why this year for a Joni Mitchell performance? I mean, she got the Lifetime Achievement Award. Why this year as opposed to any of the years in her career?
Well, she's a nominee, and so all nominees we discuss. And in fact, my first year was 2001. I have been asking for certain artists from the day I got here. When Ken Ehrlich, was executive producer, he was tired of me saying names like, please, Bill Withers, please, Joni Mitchell, my heroes, like the heroes of my youth. And the fact is, Joni has never performed on the Grammy stage. If we are going to do it, I say, let's not wait. And she is a nominee. She is great. And in fact, I've been, as we're speaking, it was announced yesterday, and I was so moved by the number of people who called me and were pissed off that I hadn't told them.
Everybody cares.
Yeah. In fact, just a couple of years ago in Vegas, in Vegas, I got to write a presentation with Bonnie Raitt and Joni where she did speak on the Grammy stage. But at that moment, I think maybe it put off a certain, in our heads, it was like, wouldn't it be great to hear her do one of her great songs? So that's what we're going to do.
And Shirley, I am, you mentioned you were, you made the move from Variety to Los Angeles Magazine. We're excited to see you in a new, in new capacity and new responsibilities. But do you look at the Grammys differently? I mean, from Variety, it's a very inside industry music business look. From the chair you're in now, I think it's got to be a more sort of cultural look at how they fit into Los Angeles entertainment industry, how regular people in the world, not just the music business, thinks about this awards. How has that lens changed for you?
Well, first, just going back to Joni for a second. Last year at the Grammys, at the Clive Davis pre-Grammy dinner, she literally got up out of her chair and was dancing to Lotto.
Wow.
Big Joni energy.
I was standing right behind her and I was like, oh my God, that's Joni Mitchell. So I feel like these last couple of years, and in Vegas too, for some reason when she was walking in, I was right behind her. Like, it seems like she wants to be out. She wants to be among her peers. She wants to have a presence. And I love that about her. And talk about like a quintessential LA. I know she's Canadian, but she's very much affiliated with Los Angeles, with Laurel Canyon. So that's a point of pride for us as well. In terms of looking at the awards, this is a very interesting time because in 2 months, we have every major award show. We had the Emmys, we have the Grammys, and we have the Oscars. And in between, you have like the SAG Awards, the Indie Spirits, all these other things. So this town is drowning in awards. What makes the Grammys different? Well, we're all looking forward to the red carpet and to seeing some wacky outfits. Will there be a Trump 24 dress? Will Taylor show? Because there was a commercial on the football game yesterday that said that she was going to be making an appearance. So these are the things that we look for, those red carpet arrivals. And that's just like, you don't have to be a music fan to love that stuff. So I think in terms of like LA, this is a huge infusion of money for the city. Every hotel is booked. Every venue is booked. Bars, private clubs, penthouses. Like this is really just a great look for the city. And, it feels like it feels like the Grammys and Los Angeles really go together. Like that is the best possible sort of combination of, you have your business here, you have the artists here, you have the creators, the producers, the songwriters. This really is the hub of music. So I think we're going to treat it with reverence.
Here in New York, we're not going to be offended by that.
I'm so sorry. If you guys didn't close all your recording studios, you'd be in the game.
Shirley is exactly the kind of brilliant reporter who, especially when in her old gig, I'd be afraid to her to know any of the 5 secrets you don't know, because there are 5 that I can think of, things you don't know yet, no one knows yet about the show that I'm excited to say. But when you say, Shirley, who I love, when you say, the other award shows, I just have to say that as someone who's put his kids through college because I work on award shows, there's nothing like the Grammys in terms of the actual challenge of this show. Most of those shows I've written on the Oscars, I've written the Emmys, they're clip shows. They are actors going up and introducing film clips that exist, putting together the level of performance on one stage or in 2 stages actually, or 2.5 in one night. It is not, and it's not the thing I do. It's not my part of the gig. As a producer, I'm part of it, but it is the most massive undertaking. And I have come to see it as a mission to really give an annual rallying cry for the power of music. And there have been times when, you think things are going away. And I think it is it's great to get us all on the same page and celebrate music. I think that's more than the awards. I never cared about awards. I rarely win them, but I love music. And I think this night, and especially like Trevor Noah, all our hosts, I started with Jon Stewart, LL Cool J, Queen Latifah, James Corden, we've been through a lot of great hosts, but all of them have basically been vehicles to express the importance of music in our lives.
So we got to let you guys out of here. But David, I will ask, the other thing that has sometimes happened is you will get the sort of career making or real career advancing performance. The Ricky Martin one is obviously the very famous one that sort of launched him to a whole other place. We know Joni, Billy Joel, we've mentioned you two are going to be in, if to whatever Taylor's going to be. But to the extent you can answer, are there any of the newer, younger artists that, you're really looking to make a big impact on Sunday?
Absolutely, yes. And it's funny because some of those artists become part of your Grammy repertory company. Like, Brandi Carlile had one of those moments. I literally remember, like, after her performance, it was like, okay, she had gone from Alan Light knowing about her to the world knowing her. And so, yes, there are a few, and there are things like, you mentioned Burna Boy. Like, I think Afro beats is something that is talked about on podcasts and cool radio stations, but to have, this is, I think, hopefully in the way that Ricky Martin was a breakthrough moment, I hope this will be a different kind of breakthrough moment.
I agree 100% on Brandi Carlile. That was her moment, and everything just blew open from there. So it is kind of a star-making vehicle in that sense.
From either of you, any comment on, in the big 4 categories, the nominations?
I can tell you, if you want to hear more of my Grammy secrets, because you're not the only people with a podcast. Yes. My podcast, coming up this week with Phil Rosenthal, I reveal how Trevor Noah got involved with the Grammys the first time, which involves sitting next to me on a plane, which is a crazy story. But I'm rooting for everyone to win. I would like 8-way ties.
He's got to say that.
I wasn't asking for picks. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but just to sort of generally to comment on the sort of breadth of nominations, the new categories. That's the Grammys trying to move forward and trying to do exactly what you say, David.
Under Harvey Mason, the Academy has really made great leaps and is, I think, when I started, I went to the Grammys my first year, probably when I was sitting next to Alan at Rolling Stone and saw Jackie Mason make a dumb, insensitive joke about Quincy Jones at Radio City Music Hall. That was my first Grammy experience. Little did I know that more than half a century later, I would have spent my life around them. So yes, I think they've made great strides, but I would leave that to Shirley, who knows much more about who's going to win than I would ever know.
Let's just say it this way, Shirley. Is there anybody you got your eye on as being the big story coming out of the awards?
I think it could be SZA. It kind of deserves to be. That album came out, I want to say like a year ago. It had like a full December. Was it December?
It was December because I remember it sneaked in for the year ends last year and not this year, but it falls within the Grammy calendar. Yeah.
yeah, which I think was kind of brilliant because we got like a full year of that album. But the Grammys love Olivia, they love Billy. The Barbie soundtrack is huge, and I'm just stoked that there's so many women in the top categories. And I will say that I do approach with my former music industry journalist hat. I do approach these awards with the sound and the production of these albums and songs. And I got to give it up. Like Billy's production is fantastic. SZA's production, fantastic. Taylor's, Jack Antonoff, amazing. Lana, like this is a really tough race. So I don't know. I'm just excited to like sit back and watch and not be as stressed as I usually am.
We do wish that for you. We wish that David could be less stressed, but that's probably not a realistic one. So we'll pass that over to you.
David.
No, Shirley, just being in your company has made me feel much better and calmer today.
I have tried to pull information out of him. He's very difficult.
Not only about information, just in general, just difficult.
All right, we're going to actually wrap it up here. I have to thank Shirley Halperin from Los Angeles Magazine, David Wild from the Grammys. Both of you guys, thanks for carving out some time and giving us your perspective on Sunday night's Grammys. For you, we want you to join us. We're actually going to be doing our next show on Thursday. Connect at sounduppod.com. You could become part of the show. And our big question, who is Grammy worthy this year? Are the Grammys still music's biggest night? These are the questions that we will attack with you when you join us on Thursday.
The big question is just Grammys ? What do you got to say? What do you think in general or in specific, or any of the other stuff that we've been talking about? Connect at sounduppod.com. And follow us on all socials, and we will be posting the information for where and how to join us for that recording through all of those platforms. So go do that. And before we're out of here, as we like to do at the top of the week, Mark, you got a favorite new music pick?
I do. Our old pal, Alice Merton, is back again with Runaway Girl. Have you heard this one yet? I love this song.
I have not, as a matter of fact.
I really, really love that one. And there I'll do two just because. Last week I didn't mention the Mumford & Sons and Pharrell have that new song.
Yeah.
Good People. Both of those really, but great to have Alice Merton back.
Yeah, I did not see that. Speaking of our old friends, and I sent this over to you, I know, a new song from our friend Blue the Tiger, bass player, DJ, dance pop star, new song called Dangerous Game, ahead of an album that's coming out in the spring, and we love her and she's super fun. And also want to mention another new single from Brittany Howard, whose album is coming out, I guess, this week. But I like this latest song called Prove It To You, a little more sort of groovy, dancey, electro. This is going to be a very different album on a new label than Alabama Shakes were, and even than the last album, Jamie, which I loved. This feels very different from that.
So we encourage you to join us for the next show. The next show is Sound Up, Sound Off. We're going to be doing some of our picks, but we're going to be looking for you to join in as well. Give us your opinions, give us your picks, and make sure that you are with us for the next show.
As Grammy Week rolls on,
it's connect at sounduppod.com to become part of the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for liking us on socials. And we'll catch you next time.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger Coletti, and distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Theme music by Smile from Tokyo. Get Sound Up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more information, email us at connect@sounduppod.com. We'll see you next time right here on Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light.